Welcome back to NYSC TV Live, everyone. A recent report from AAA says domestic travel is expected to reach a historic milestone during Memorial Day weekend. Well, AAA predicts that 45.1 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home starting yesterday on Thursday through Memorial Day on Monday. That would mark 1.4 million more than the previous year and topple a former record of 44 million travelers in 2005. Well, joining me now with more is Aixa Diaz, Media Relations Manager at AAA. Aixa, thank you so much for joining this morning. And as we head into this long weekend, what more can you tell us?
Well, Kristen, the roads are going to be packed and airports are packed. And even though we are projecting this record in car travel, air travel is doing all right, too. We're projecting a 2% increase from this time last year. But road trips are really king here. Most people like to just pack up the car and go because it's easy. You can leave when you want, come back when you want. And also it tends to be cheaper for most people. Because Memorial Day weekend sort of is a shorter holiday period, meaning if you have kids, they're probably in school today. They have to be back on Tuesday. So a lot of people don't go too far, but they'll still drive a couple of miles, not a couple of miles, a couple of hours away from their home to the nearest beach, mountains, lakes, really anywhere where they can get away. As you mentioned, travel for AAA is 50 miles or more from home, so you could even just do a day trip and you're considered a traveler.
Okay, good to know. Any tips on best practices, Aixa, so people can try to maybe avoid even the busiest times and get the most bang for their buck?
Well, leaving in the afternoon, unfortunately, is the worst time to leave. I know a lot of people, if they're working today, maybe they want to duck out early and hit the road in the afternoon. The problem is you've got kids getting out of school, people getting off work, and you've got travelers on the roads. So the morning hours are the best times to be driving. And on Monday coming back, because it's not a work day for most people, traffic should be a little bit better. Obviously, you'll have holiday travelers, but it won't be as congested. For the airports, you got to get there early and reserve airport parking ahead of time. And think about this during the summer, too, as you're traveling. Don't take for granted you're going to find a spot in the garages at the airport. They fill up fast. Oftentimes, you can reserve ahead. When it comes to road trips, though, I would advise getting your car checked out, even if it's just check the tire pressure, the battery, oil, because AAA rescues a lot of people over holiday periods. Last Memorial Day weekend, AAA responded to more than 350,000 roadside calls, and that's from dead batteries, flat tires. Believe it or not, people run out of gas, and we help them with that. The good news for drivers, though, is that gas prices are lower this Memorial Day compared to last year, so we're paying about 40 cents less.
Interesting. Okay, good for those tips on the road. What about for people traveling by air, Aixa? What can you tell us there?
Definitely download your airline's app. So have that and turn on notifications on your phone. Airlines are pretty good about letting you know if there's a delay, obviously a cancellation, but it's good to have that on your phone. I would also avoid checking a bag. When you have a carry-on bag, it gives you flexibility in case there is a delay or cancellation, because now you've got your bag with you. You don't have to worry about retrieving that suitcase. Bring snacks, because let me tell you, not only do people get hangry at the airport, obviously we know this, but also when you have snacks with you in your bag, you don't spend money at the shops at the airport, and you're going to have some snacks on the plane. So that's always very helpful. And also, as you're thinking ahead to summer travel, book those early morning flights. They tend to be delayed the least. So the longer you wait throughout the day, the more delays and cancellations build up at airports. And then book flights that leave on a Tuesday or Wednesday to save some money. Those weekend flights tend to be more expensive.
Yeah, I must say, I always pack a water bottle too. I don't know if you can see my shot here on camera, Aixa, but for the airport, right, that is crucial for me, especially so that I can make sure that I stay hydrated during some of those long flights. Okay, so we've discussed obviously by car, by air. I do want to talk a bit about hotels and rental cars in terms of the data that you anticipate and the ways to navigate that.
Yeah, hotels are tricky because it really depends the location. Obviously, hotels that are closer to the tourist attractions. Let's say you're going to a major city, a hotel that's going to be right in the thick of the action is going to be more expensive than one that's a little bit farther out. Rental cars, though, we've seen prices sort of come down. Remember during the pandemic, we had sort of the shortage and prices were going up. Rental car prices are actually pretty decent right now. And what we're seeing is that a lot of people will flying to big cities like Las Vegas and Denver are top destinations for AAA over Memorial Day weekend. They'll fly into these cities, rent cars, and then drive to national parks. But I would say for anybody who's renting a car or booking a hotel, shop around, take advantage of your AAA membership and those rewards and deals, and also just plan ahead, because again, with rental cars, if you want a particular type of vehicle, don't wait too long to book that because those could be sold out.
Curious here, Aixa, in terms of top destinations and maybe some of the busiest spots that our travelers will need to navigate to.
Well, Orlando, Florida is always at the top because you've got the theme parks, you've got nice hotels, it's close to the beaches, but also the cruise port there. You've got Port Canaveral. Miami's also high on the list because of its cruise port. Cruises have had this post-COVID surge where a lot of people are booking cruises well in advance. And even sometimes you find some last-minute deals on cruises. Seattle's also high on the list because of Alaska cruises. This is Alaska cruise season. It's a condensed season, so a lot of people want to book those trips early and get off and go check out Alaska. Then you've got New York City is always high on the list. People want to check out New York. And like I mentioned, Denver, Las Vegas, because not only those cities are fun on their own, but also you can go to the national parks, which have been very popular lately.
I like that too. Anything in the forecast that we should know about?
In terms of the weather forecast or the actual AAA forecast?
The AAA forecast.
Because yeah, you can't predict the weather, and that's the one thing you also have to plan ahead is that you don't know what the weather's going to be doing. But we are projecting a record. Overall, 45 million is the highest for us ever for Memorial Day weekend. And I always say there's an emotional component to travel. People don't just look at it from a practical or economical lens. They look at it from an emotional lens. Do you want to go celebrate a big birthday with your family or a vacation or a milestone, a graduation? People are willing to sacrifice what they have to make those trips happen. And travel doesn't always have to be expensive. So you have to remember, yes, you can make it expensive and fly somewhere nice and stay at a luxury hotel, but you can also just pack up the car, stay with family and friends, but still get away from your daily routine, which so many of us need.
Yes, Aixa Diaz, she's a media relations manager at AAA. Aixa, wishing you and your loved ones a very safe and enjoyable Memorial Day weekend. Thank you again.
You too.